Greetings, everyone. This is Eric Stewart from the Bad Rhino Local Podcast, and today I'm joined with John Serock. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. John is the owner and CEO of John Serock Catering, and I was taking a look at their Instagram page and their Facebook page, and they make terrific cuisine and food. And I honestly was on there and I was getting hungry myself, being at about lunchtime now. But John, if you could just fill us in a little bit about what you guys do over there at John Serock Catering, and who are the people that you kind of serve?
Sure. We are a full service off-premise caterer. I like to joke with people, we're basically gypsies. We show up at a space and completely transform it in a matter of hours and set up, a restaurant quality experience for wedding clients. And at the end of the night, we're gone and there's no trace that we were even there. And we really excel at that, at just providing really a high level of food and service in usually not the most ideal locations or circumstances. I've been in business 22 years. We're at the point now where we've got a little, I guess I could say I finally have got a little pickier. I don't want to say I'm picking and choosing what we're doing, but we're not, 15 years ago, if you're like, hey, I want to stick you in the middle of the woods and do this wedding and there's no running water or electricity and you got to hike 5 miles up a mountain to do it, I'd be like, sure, we love the challenge. Now we're getting a little bit smarter and we're trying to kind of pick and choose the locations we're working at, becoming a little bit of prima donnas, I guess you could say. But, we've built a great reputation and we want to make sure we can uphold that.
The cool thing, I was checking out your website, was the different venues that you guys had. In all those beautiful, the exclusive ones, and then the other ones that are preferred venues. And I was just taking a look at them. But if you want to talk about who you serve and then go into the venues, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, we are 90% of our business is weddings. And, we kind of found this niche where we realized like we have to be the experts. We are the experts, but we need to be the experts because most of the couples we're working with, this is their first and only time that they're getting married. So it's up to us to really kind of guide them from, menu and decor and even giving tips on etiquette. And, also I always used to joke, but it's like, we can be that referee sometimes where, mom's got one idea and the other mom's got another idea and the couple has an idea and it's up to us to kind of bridge that gap and find that happy medium. And usually we can do it pretty easily of, finding what everybody's concerns, all the stakeholders in the event, what their concerns are, and how can we bridge that gap and make everybody happy and address, maybe the couple's really worried that the bar's going to have a line, and maybe the parents are worried that it could be too hot and, their guests are going to be sitting in the sun waiting for the ceremony. Maybe the other parents are worried that their guests won't know that dessert's out because it's in a different room. And when their, daughter got married, everybody, commented after that the cake was beautiful, but they never tried it because it was in another room and nobody told them. So for us, it's really just kind of listening is the biggest thing, which it makes it kind of hard for me to talk about our business because I'm so used to having we have to be good listeners and hear what do our clients want. And then as far as locations, like you started to touch on, I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm the luckiest person in the world. We've had access and exposure to some of the most amazing properties in our area, from private estates to historic mansions to equine facilities, to just some really, beautiful properties where clients have put tents up and hosted events. So we really kind of get a behind the scenes, like look at, some of these properties that people drive by their whole life and wonder what's it like in there, what's it look like behind there. And for us, it's just like another day at the office, and you kind of get spoiled with that.
Absolutely. Some great scenery that I was looking at on your venue list for sure. And John, I also checked out your background too on how you started when you were 12 years old working with your grandmother in the different kitchens that she worked at. And then even as a teenager working down the beach in different restaurants, and something that I can kind of relate to with a lot of my buddies kind of doing the same thing. How did you get from kind of that point of working in the restaurant industry and going to college for a restaurant to where you're at now, running your own company?
It's people always say like, "Oh, is it in your blood? Was it in your family?" I mean, as you said, like the story is my grandmother, my cousin, my mom's cousin, my grandmother's nephew. He owned a sports bar and after hours club in Delaware County, and my grandmother worked there, just cooking, lunches at the bar. It was in Clifton Heights, working class neighborhood, and she'd cook lunches, and then the after hours club didn't even open till I think it was like open like midnight to like 3 a.m. And people they kind of fell into the banquet and catering business with people reaching out like, hey, can I rent the room? Can I rent the after hours club and throw a benefit or throw my wife a birthday party or we're having a second wedding or, just little events. And my grandmother started cooking that way. So she went from making, a cheeseburger and fries for, for somebody to, hey, we need to do roast beef sandwiches and potato salad for 150 people on Saturday night. And from a young age, she was doing that. My mom would work as a waitress. My aunts were working as waitresses. My older cousins all were starting there as busboys and cleaning up. And it was called the Bungalow Inn. It was famous in Delaware County. Everybody knew the Bungalow Inn. And as a kid from like the age of 6, that was like, you'd go there at like Christmas every year. They'd bring us in. They'd have Santa come and, they'd put the lights and like the dance floor and all the kids, we'd take turns bartending, pouring sodas for the other kids and everybody. That was like the dream in the family. It was like you couldn't wait till you were old enough to work at the Bungalow. And I always joke, I was out with a couple of my cousins a few months ago who were a little bit older. I said, I got my big break in this business because one of you went to a prom and, it was 12 years old and like, yeah, he looks old enough. He can come work this weekend. And that was it. I worked, I got a couple bucks in my pocket and I was hooked. I mean, I'd mowed lawns in the neighborhood and did other odd jobs even at the beach. I'd worked with a crabber one summer, just sorting crabs. But the cooking was just, once I got in, I still remember it was like the first thing my grandmother trusted me with was like, we'll let you cut the rolls. It was like, that was the big thing. Like you can use the knife. And then it was like, hey, you're 14, great, jump on the slicer. We need you to cut up some, now, I mean, I'd be put out of business in a minute if I put my kid on the slice. I got a 13-year-old. So we've started bringing my son in a little bit. We're starting to introduce him to the business. He's 13. And I said, it's time. But not, just a little bit here and there, let him get a feeling for what it's like to, see what dad does every day and see, it takes their money. It's not, it looks glamorous, but it is, there's work behind it. But I got into that and I really just fell in love. Like once I stepped foot in the kitchen and then when I was 15, I started at the Jersey Shore at a pizza place, Andre's. I walked in, lied, told them I was 16, told them I had a ton of experience cooking. And like the second day, the guy came to me and he said, you never did this before. And I said, no, but I really want to learn. And I still stop in and see him a couple times a summer. I mean, that was, I worked there off and on through high school, college, even when I was in culinary school. I would spend my summers at Jersey Shore. I worked at casinos and some of the fine dining restaurants, but I always kept a shift or two at the pizza place where I started. Just kind of the nostalgia of it, I loved. And then I went to Johnson & Wales University in Rhode Island, and I spent 4 years there, received an associate's degree in culinary arts, a bachelor's degree in food service management. I was a teaching assistant for a year teaching other students, which was kind of a crazy thing because at one point, Johnson & Wales was training a lot of the cooks for the Navy. We had a campus in Norfolk, Virginia, and they would send them up. So, here I am like a 19-year-old kid, and I'm teaching 30-year-old career military guys, how to cook and for mass volumes. And, some of them had already had experiences that I never would see and still have never seen in my life. So it was pretty humbling, because they also gave me the confidence that, years later when I did open my own business, I know I can directly correlate it to the time I spent as a teaching assistant.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great experience too, getting in there and kind of working with different people, even if they're a little bit older than you, just kind of sharing your wealth of knowledge and kind of push them off to kind of do their own thing in the military. The cool thing that you hit on there, which might sound weird, but I've had this conversation with a couple buddies and even around the office at Bad Rhino, is how how important bread is to a sandwich. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I really don't, because a great like piece of bread, it makes or breaks a sandwich. It's like you get a good cheesesteak, you can have the best quality meat and everything, but if you have a crappy piece of bread, it kind of ruins the entire sandwich. So I just as pure fun, I just want to get your kind of thoughts on that.
100%. You know, it's funny because I went to, like I said, I went to school in St. Johnson, Wales, and in Providence for 4 years, and I still remember there was this little like Portuguese grocery store around the corner from campus, and I would go in when I was a freshman. We'd go in, and all the guys, we had a really cool dynamic as I moved through college. My freshman year, we lived in the dorms, and then just kind of found this like group of guys that we all just kind of clicked. We all had the same kind of personalities, and we ended up living together our sophomore year. And when we lived together, we had four guys. It was 3 different floors, and we were all mixed up. We had 4 guys from Philly, 4 guys from New York, the New York, Connecticut area, 4 guys from Boston. Nobody could understand a word anybody else said because of the accents were all so thick. But we would get these like like freshman year, we'd go to this little Portuguese grocery store to get, we're like, the guys say, who wants to go get a sub? And we're like, no, it's a hoagie. You'd have these arguments on the way there about, what the proper word was. The other guys were calling it grinders from up north. And at the end of the day, the reality was like, they thought these things were great. I'm like, this bread is horrible. And it was like this thick Portuguese bread. I mean, the meats and the things the guy put inside were amazing. He really used high quality. And I mean, this was like this little corner, nothing. But the bread, it just never was the same. So every time I would come home and I'd come back to school, my mom would give me stuff that I could heat up in the microwave. And I would be bringing loaves of bread back. And they would all, like, everybody be waiting when I came back. Like, would your mom send back this week? What do you got, scallopine? What kind of rolls? Like, if I took the bus back or the train back, there's always bring it back. At that time, Amoroso, which, I hate to call them out, but it's probably like the last option I would take now with so many great bakeries around here. But it does. The bread's got to hold up. And there's a famous restaurateur, Danny Meyer, who started Shake Shack. And if you read like some of his books and you watch interviews with him, the one thing he says is that when he talked about the burgers, the key for Shake Shack's success is that the roll can't overpower the burger, but it has to be able to hold up to the burger. And it was like finding that balance. And I feel that's the same way when you get like a good Italian hoagie or a cheesesteak. Like you don't want like a cheesesteak, the meat shooting out the side, but you don't want to be too doughy. You want to just have that perfect harmony, which, like a pizza. That's why pizza is my favorite, because you got a good pizza place, that perfect proportion of dough to sauce to cheese. Same with a great cheesesteak. The meat, the cheese, the bread, it has to all harmonize together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had really good loaves of breads around Delco area in the Philadelphia area, even sometimes up in New York. But all right, let's bring it back to your company as a whole. And one thing that I always ask whenever I sit down at a new restaurant or I order from a new catering service is, all right, what's the best thing on the menu? So, John, I hate to put you on the spot, but what would you say is kind of your bread and butter? What's like the best thing that people normally go to?
Short rib, short rib, short rib, short rib. And our crab cakes, but short rib is just very rarely does somebody try our short rib and say, nah, we're going to go with this instead. We started selling short rib, I want to say, it's like 2011. Right. I guess I can't believe it's been that long now that I say that out loud. But, with the economic downturn back in like, 08 through 2010, what we were finding was catering's always the first thing to go. When the economy's bad, it's always the first thing to come back. That's usually what they use as like that indicator that, like it used to be, let's put it this way. That used to be the indicator. Like corporate catering was the first to cut when times were bad, and corporate catering would be the first to come back. Like, hey, we're starting to kind of come back in. Oh, we can spend some money. So, 2011-ish, we started getting a lot of calls where people wanted, they didn't have filet, they didn't have tenderloin budgets. They wanted to serve a beef, but they needed to find something that they could offer and not break the bank. So we started looking to these, all not quite off cuts, because at this point they're all like considered prime, but like, short rib wasn't a popular seller. And we started doing short rib, and just like instantly, I was like, this is like the greatest product I've ever worked with, because it's like a blank slate. Like we do so many different variations of it. I mean, our top selling wedding entree is short rib. We do a braised beef short rib. We sear it, add veggies, make a red wine with it. We reduce it. We serve it over cauliflower mash. But then we were like, okay, well, we've got all these scraps. We're cleaning it up every week. We're making these pretty portions for a wedding. We got 50 pounds of scraps. What am I doing with this? You know what? Let's do like a short rib taco with this. Let's take the scraps, and you know what? We can add hoisin sauce and give it an Asian flair. We'll serve it in a Chinese steam bun. And now we've got a cool new appetizer, and we're using the short rib. And it's like, well, we got more. Now what do we do? Oh, let's add it with pasta and like cream sauce and roasted mushrooms, and do like a cavatappi with a short rib mushroom cream sauce. Or, there's still scraps left. What do we do now? All right, staff meal. Let's make cheesesteaks or, French dip sandwiches. So, I mean, we sell upwards of, 400 to 600 pounds a week of short rib. We sell a lot of short rib. And I never get sick of it. And it comes out perfect every time. And it's one of those items that like our wedding clients get a complimentary tasting as part of the process. And sometimes they'll come in and they'll say, well, can we try the short rib and the filet? Because my dad, some people just hear rib and they're thinking, oh, like we're going to come out like, Kansas City style ribs. And it's, I think it's gotten to the point now, like in the last 3 or 4 years, that every restaurant in North America has a short rib on it, whether it's Italian, seafood, every restaurant I've been in seems to have a short rib now. So people are a little more familiar with it. But I find that, they come in and dad's like, no, if I'm spending X amount of money on my only daughter's wedding, I'm not serving pot roast. I want a filet. And we bring out the short rib and we bring out the filet, and we let dad try it. And like 99% of the time, they end up going with the short rib. It's very rare. I mean, we sell a ton of filet, but it's very rare that once they've tried the short rib, they'll change their mind. Or if they were always stuck on it and say, nope, I have to serve, we have to serve a filet, but we want to do the short rib tacos. They're still finding a way to work that into the meal.
Business owners and marketing professionals in the Philly area, Bad Rhino takes the overwhelm out of digital marketing. With tailored digital marketing services, from social media management to SEO and PPC advertising, our expert team navigates the complexities of the digital ad space for your business. Let Bad Rhino lead you to success. Visit badrhinoinc.com and let's take your business to new heights. Bad Rhino, we do digital marketing, so you don't have to.
You kind of hit it on my next question a little bit with the kind of your team meals. And one thing, when I was looking at your website, I saw a great team over there. A lot of different people kind of involved. And one thing that you mentioned in the notes too is employee retention. And it's probably one of those things nowadays which it's hard for companies to kind of retain employees and kind of keep them around for a long time. So how do you kind of go about just keeping employees around, keeping employees invested in your company in this economic state?
We made this commitment pre-2020, pre-COVID. We kind of made this commitment of, hey, the workforce is changing. Like, you're hearing it on the news, you're reading stories, you're talking to other people in other businesses, not just in hospitality, but especially hospitality. The younger generations, they're like in the hospitality business, and we still talk about this all the time. It was like a badge of honor if you're in a hospitality business. And like, if you worked less than 60 hours a week, it was like you didn't work. Like, did you even really work if you worked less than 60 hours? And if you didn't burn yourself, and if you didn't get cut, and if you didn't have a chef, berate you constantly and sexually harass you and curse at you and put a cigarette out on your neck and all these horror stories you would hear about this business, it was always kind of like this badge of honor, like you earned your time in here. Which really made for like a really horrible reputation in hospitality, also made for a very hard way to hold on to people. And I had made this decision years ago that I wanted to be I always said the anti-hospitality company. hospitable to our clients, and hospitable to our employees. I mean, take care of the people that take care of our customers. You know, it becomes this like cliche you hear people always talk about. You know, take care of your people, they'll take care of your customers. But it's true. It really is. Like, my job's gotten so much easier because I have amazing people that work with me every day. And I always really say, like, nobody works for me. They work with me. We all work together. It's not like I sit up at this big, you know, desk and oversee everything. I mean, I'm right in there in the trenches, not as much as I used to be, but I feel that, you know, being there side by side, hey, I see what you're doing. And I know this isn't the easiest job in the world, but I'm doing it with you. The thing we also learned was that, like, money isn't always the most important thing. It was, you know, a lot of people were like, you know, yeah, that's great. I want to make a good living. But what I'd rather is be able to, like, spend time and have experiences with my friends and my family and like the people I work with. Like, I'd rather make $40,000 a year and feel comfortable with the guy next to me than make $60,000 and be wondering, is this guy going to stab me? Or is, you know, am I going to be subject to harassment? Or, you know, am I going to have to work every weekend and not even be able to spend the money? So we started looking at that and trying to find ways of, like, let's make this a fun place, because it is a fun place, but let's start touting it. Like, let's toot our horn a little bit. Let's, you know, our job description doesn't necessarily just have to be, oh, you must know how to cook. It's like, you must know how to come in and be a team player and have a great time and do what you're doing, because we're throwing a party every day. Like you're coming to a job and you're getting paid to throw a party and have an amazing time with people and celebrate with people. And that's why I never got into why I when I kind of made that path years ago of, do I stay with restaurants or catering? I always kind of knew I wanted to go catering, but I saw, like, restaurants were changing in, like, the late 90s and early 2000s. Like, you know, when I was a kid, restaurants were a special occasion. You went out maybe once a month, every 6 weeks. You know, it was hey, it's somebody's birthday, we're getting dressed up and we're going to special occasion place. And then, you know, late 90s, both parents start working, everybody's in the workforce. It's now just fulfilling a basic need. It's not a celebration anymore. It's now a full schedule. Nobody got home till 5. All right, let's just run out and get something to eat. And you'd go out to get something to eat. You know, I could see it as we go to the table. You could see as the people came in, like, yeah, they were fighting in the car ride here. The kids were driving the parents nuts. There was an argument. You could just see the waitress come over. Hey, can I get you something to drink? Not right now. We need a minute. And you could just tell. And it was like, this isn't what I signed up for. Like, I signed up for this experience that people remember and enjoy. And same with, like, the wait staff. Like, restaurants became the way to get that quick, easy cash. And I used to always joke with people, never go out to dinner the last Sunday of the month, because everybody, you know, in the old days, it's probably gotten a little bit better now, but it used to be like that last Sunday was everybody that was like, I got to make rent on Tuesday and I need to make X. And they're working doubles all weekend long to make their rent. And by Sunday night, they are miserable because they're exhausted. They still may not have enough money for the rent. Now they got to, you know, call, borrow money, or do whatever. And it's not that experience. With us, like, it's a party. You're coming in. We're going to give you, somebody's going to actually walk up to you and hand you a scalp and bacon and a drink on a tray. And then you're going to sit down and we're going to serve you a meal. And then we're going to give you dessert and wedding cake and music and flowers. It's like, what more could you ask for? It's just a great, great experience. And we have to make sure we convey that to the people. Like, there's no bad days here and there's no do-overs. Like, couples getting married are doing it one time. It's got to be perfect. You know, we found the formula. You just got to follow the steps. And when you come in, you know, we're going to feed you. I can't have staff leaving in the middle of the shift to go out and eat. You know, I can't be like, oh, yeah, clock out, go to McDonald's. But I also don't want somebody bringing up a food and saying, hey, would you like a scalp and bacon? Are they any good? Oh, I don't know. We're not allowed to taste anything. Like, what? No. Like, our staff's got to know what they're serving. Like, yeah, oh, God, yeah, they're great. But I'll tell you what, I'm not a big seafood fan. But that blonde over here is coming over with the chicken skewers, and they're my favorite. Make sure you get one of them. Now, all of a sudden, you've built this narrative with your staff, just this comfort level, because they're not just like, they're not robots. They're people. And that, as good as our food is, that first touch that the guests are getting is what people remember. And when I read the reviews every week that come in from clients, like, you know, our wedding's been a month and people are still texting and calling and reaching out to us to tell us just how friendly everybody was. And, I don't know if you heard the story, but my, aunt spilled something and this sweet young girl went and got her like club soda and a towel. Like, that's not something we necessarily have trained people on. It's just finding people and it's like, just watch what everybody else, just have your eyes open. And you can't do it if you're hungry. Like you always hear the stats, like kids in school, like, where they struggle because they're on with a hungry stomach. Like we come in, so they come in, they work a shift for an hour, a wedding shift's like 8 hours. They come in, they set up, they do the work the first hour and a half. And that's like, hey, family meal. We have our meeting, everybody sits down, they have a meal together, talk about, the event. Same with our kitchen crew. I mean, some days they're like, hey, we want to get out of here. I'm like, well, we still got to eat. Like, so we rotate that. I'd be like, hey, let's, like a couple of new guys start a few weeks ago. Like, oh man, this is great. We're getting some new meals now. Like, we're kind of getting that rut of like, Caesar salad again. It's Thursday. Mac and cheese. It's Friday. It's like, oh, eating me spring rolls this week or rice noodles or, like bring some different cuisine. And we rotate that. But it might only be that 15 or 20 minutes that you sit down, but it's a good meal. And I always say, like, with the weekend events with these high school and college kids, like, high school kid needs money. You give a high school boy, like, here, eat until you're, here, go ahead, eat 6 tacos. Let me see if you can do it. That's what they love. That you just found an employee for life. They'll come back until they start a career somewhere.
That is the truth. And even like the Delco area, like I grew up in Delco, and even like the Philadelphia area, right? Like my grandmother's an Italian chef, and always like the way that our family's been run is through Italian food, sitting down with home cooked meals. It's like been the way to my heart, and I'm sure the heart of many other people from Delco and Philadelphia. It's like, you want me to like, just feed me and I'll love you. I'll never leave you.
When I was like 13, one of my good friends lived on our street. His brother was working for Coco's Pizza. They just opened one in Upper Darby. And he said, hey, Mike wants you guys, he needs me to get a couple guys and go put flyers in mailboxes. Will you guys do it? I can't pay you, but I'll make you whatever you want afterwards. We did that for like a week straight. He was dropping us off in Upper Darby, all over like Garrett Hill, Churchill. Here you go drop these all. And then we go back and he's like, all right, I got a pizza in for you. What else? You want a stromboli? All right, what else? You want a hoagie? We didn't care. At 13? Yeah, what do you give me $3 an hour? I don't want that. I want to eat. Like when you're, especially at that age, you're that 13, 14, 15, and you're growing, you're constantly hungry and you're never full. And, I can see that's one of the things with my son. He walks in here and it's like, and he's a picky eater at times. He comes in and it's like, oh, we're having dessert first? Yeah, great. Oh, now I can eat tacos, for a kid, it's the way to their heart. And especially when you grow up like that, where it's like, manja, gotta eat. It's a good way to get people.
It really is. It really is. And also, like, we kind of hit it on the lead by example thing. I always kind of refer it back to Philly sports, and guys like Kelsey, who's kind of in the trenches all day, and he's probably the leader of that Eagles team, or even a guy growing up like Chase Utley, who was just not really the loudest guy in the field, but he's a lead by example guy, where he'll be that guy when he comes up in the 9th inning and they need a run. He'll be that guy to knock in that winning run. So it's cool to hear that you're still kind of a part of that, being in the trenches. I saw you shooting some videos on Instagram too, and I'll link all those stuff in the bio too, where people can go check that out for sure. But it's definitely cool to see the kind of the culture you built over the years in your company.
Yeah, I mean, it's I learned and I figured out, we're like I said, there was that badge of honor, like you got to put these hours in, but it's like the reality is if people are around, if I'm not constantly having to train people, nobody, I don't think any, and this is a lot of small business owners, and trust me, it took me forever to figure this out, but a lot of small business owners don't quantify how much it really costs every time you bring on a new employee. Even something as simple as a server. We figured it out with our servers that, it's costing me somewhere between probably like $400 and $500 to bring a new server on, between the time spent answering the emails that they're inquiring, hey, I'm looking for a job, and that back and forth. Everybody always just says, well, you're already paying somebody that, but something has to make up. If I'm paying a staffing manager X amount a year, they're being paid to do that. So they're responding to these inquiries. And now they're setting up an interview and they're spending an hour on an interview. And now they've said, okay, great, we're going to offer you a position. So now I need to get a time where we can do our paperwork. We've gotten very, very smart. COVID's made our business very, very efficient, because now we do all our interviews on Zoom, which is great because you get a different personality. We see right there when we're doing an interview on Zoom, they come in, everybody's like, well, prim and proper. You're interviewing somebody and they're in their bedroom and like, are they looking at me or are they wandering? Is their friend sitting across the room? Like, you know, they're just trying to get through the paces. But you're seeing and that's what's really important to us, because we don't see 99% of what our employees do on a shift. You know, like you're at a wedding and you don't see the server that's off, you know, clearing in a room, and somebody says, hey, I got a question. Where's the bathroom? Or what's this place all about? Or do you know how do I get back to the parking lot? And I want to see, like, in that interview, like, how do they react with a stranger in front of them and like being off guard? You know, they're getting comfortable and now we're asking them an off guard question. You know, so now we've offered them a job. We're doing their paperwork. Now our paperwork's digital. We're buying them their first uniform shirt. And then their first shift and a half are really useless. Like, you're paying them, but they're learning. So you're paying them, say, $150, you know, we start all of our servers at $15 an hour. So you're paying them $150. You put in the taxes and all that. It's costing you $180 for their first shift. For them to walk around behind somebody else and just nod their head and smile and, okay, you told me to pick this up, I'll pick it up. So it costs a lot for that. I don't want to spend that money constantly and then have them gone in 2 weeks. So let's find a way to keep them. So we have, like, Serock swag is our big thing. I was talking about it this morning with a couple of the caterers. We had a call and we were talking about, like, incentive programs for keeping employees. So we basically, every hour you work, you get a Serock buck. And then a couple of times a year, we say, all right, it's time to cash in your Serock bucks. You look at your check and it says, you know, your year-to-date hours are, say, 600 hours. All right, you got 600 Serock bucks. Winter's coming. We're offering a winter coat for 300 Serock bucks. You can get a hat for 100 Serock bucks. Neckerchief, you know, we just have some different fun things, but it builds this pride too. Like, they're excited, like, to put on this stuff, and it's like, it's pretty cool. Like, these people want to wear my name on them. Like, not because I'm making them, they have that option. You know, they can just pick, like, you know, a backpack or something that's not branded, but they want this. They want to take pride in where they work. You know, and it's our job to keep making it a place you want to work at.
That's a really cool idea with the Serock bucks. It's very creative. How'd you come up with that? Did you kind of just brainstorming, or did you have, like, a group that kind of helped?
I mean, I'll be fully transparent. We had a friend, a caterer I've become very friendly with out in Colorado, and they actually do culture training, and that's where we've gotten a lot of ideas. It's called MIBE, Make It Better Every Day. It's Footers Catering in Denver, and I've spent a lot of time talking with these guys the last couple of years. We've spent time at conferences together, and they have a whole culture training program. And when we were kind of going through this, like, hey, we got to start retaining employees, they were launching this program. So we kind of worked with them as like a pilot, like, yeah, we'll try out your thing and see. And we kind of picked and choose what we liked about it. But the one thing they've always done was they call them Jimmy Bucks, where they do swag, and it's same concept. Like, employees, you know, for us, what originally happened was one winter, it gets, you know, you're back and forth. You're in the hot kitchen, and then you're in the walk-in, and then you're taking the trash out and it's cold. And then maybe you're on an event and you're cooking outside, and the chefs are always like, you know, it's freezing. Like, once November hit, they were freezing. So we bought all our chefs hoodies that were thin enough to insulate them. They could wear it under a chef coat if they were on an event. It kept them warm. Next thing you know, the servers start, well, how do I get a hoodie? And bartenders like, how do I get a hoodie? And then the bartenders are working outside in an event, and, you know, it's like, you know, cocktail hour, they're in the sun, and then the sun goes down and they're stuck outside and it's like 55 degrees and they're in like a thin dress shirt. So we'd gotten a couple of jackets with our logo and gave it to them. But then it's like, we were never getting the jackets back. So I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, I can't just keep printing stuff and hand it to people. So let's kind of do a double edge. Like, hey, here's a way they can pick what they want, but it's also a functional, like, hey, bartenders, you don't have to choose this jacket. However, if you want to put a jacket on, you're going to have to wear one with our logo. So you can pick that or get like 3 hats. I'd pick the jacket if I were you. So they're using it. They're getting their own, you know, it's an enhancement to their uniform. It's making them comfortable, but you see them wearing it everywhere. You know, that's what blows my mind. Like, when I'll be out, I'll see employees wearing Serock stuff on their day off. It's not like they were working. You know, it's a pretty cool thing when you run into that. You know, you walk through downtown Westchester, and you know, you see, you know, we've had different everybody gets a T-shirt when they start, and we've had different ones with different quotes on the back and stuff. You know, and you're walking down the street, my kids are like, Dad, I think that person works for you. And it's like, I don't know them. And then it's like, oh yeah, wait, no, it's somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend. They gave him the shirt or whatever. So, but it's a cool thing. But yeah, we, you know, just little things like that. You know, we try and do meetings, you know, when schedule allows. Like last year, we just, you know, did a kickball game. Like Wednesday afternoon team meeting. We're going to West Goshen Park and we're gonna have a kickball game. And, you know, just and kind of mix everybody. You know, we did a cornhole tournament one year, like beginning to kick off the season, did a barbecue and cornhole tournament. And just because, you know, when we do those type of events, it's like, you know, we do a Christmas party and they can have a couple drinks. But like for those events, it's like a dry event so that it's as encouraging for the 16-year-olds as it is for the 60-year-olds and everybody in between, and brings everybody together. And when we do that, like we did the cornhole, we did that, we picked the teams. We said we picked them out of the hat. We purposely were like, okay, these two are such opposite personalities. We have to put these two together. These two, I heard there's a little bit of like bad blood between these two. They're now going to be teammates. So we've now, you know, come in as the mediator and fix some relationship. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, what do you mean you guys are going out together this weekend? You're going to get dinner or whatever. Like all of a sudden you're friends. You know, you hated each other a week ago. So, and I think it is a great environment. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest things that I've seen come out of this. Friday night, I was out, all my childhood friends from Delco. We went down to a Phillies game. And one of the, you know, out of the 11 couples, I think 5 of them have had their teenagers work for me at different times. And one couple leaned over and they said, oh yeah, our daughter's to prom tonight. I said, oh, Rustin's prom's tonight. And their daughter goes to Ridley. Like, oh yeah, she's going with her boyfriend. She met him working for you. He goes to Rustin and they've been dating for like 6 months. They like met on a shift. I'm like, yeah, be kidding me. Like, it's like, that's awesome. You know, it's such a cool thing. And, you know, these kids come in and they just, you see it now. We had another group of teenagers met. Next thing you know, they're like, oh, I'm going to such and such university. So am I. Oh, let's be roommates. You know, from 2 completely different areas. But we try and do that. You know, we find people that are just good people and you feel comfortable with the people you're with.
Absolutely. It's almost bigger than just a job, right? It's a culture. And you get to kind of intermingle with people that kind of have the same passion for you. 1, making money, 2, providing great service. So that's kind of it. But cool. John, I always like to wrap these up with asking this kind of basic question is, in your own words, can you describe the Westchester / Exton business life? I know you've been to a couple chamber events and networking events like that. So in your own words, just describe like the business community as a whole in like Westchester.
I think loyal was a capital Loyal. I mean, it really. So, in as quick as I can make it, you know, I started in Delaware County in 2000. I launched the business in 2005-ish. I decided I wanted to move the business out to Chester County. I was just finding myself out here more and more. I opened up a storefront in 2006 in Malvern, failed miserably. Like to almost on the point of bankruptcy, like in 2009 and 10. And my lease was up in like 2011. And in that time, I become pretty friendly with Chuck Swope from Swope Lease Real Estate. And I reached out to him and I said, I need to find a new spot to go in Malvern. And we probably over a 6-month period looked at every single commercial property that was available or coming available for rent in the like 19355 zip code. We looked at every single one of them. And he kept saying, why are you so dead set on Malvern? I said, because I spent my whole life growing up in Delco. Like when I opened in Delco, it was a very instant, like everybody knew me because they, you know, they either went to school with me or my brothers or knew me from bar I worked at or restaurant I worked at or for sport. Like I knew everybody. Like I had this already built in name. And I felt like I just spent 5 years building a name in Malvern. And I was like, I don't want to leave this area. And he's like, Westchester's like 10 minutes away. It's not that far. People, I'm like, you know, growing up in Delco where it's so territorial, what parish are you from? You know, I'm not from Drexel Hill. No, I'm from St. Dots. Like I'm not from the St. Charles side of Drexel Hill. I'm from St. Dots. This is where I'm from. So I had that mindset that like, Westchester people didn't, Malvern was like another world. And we eventually kind of looked and found this spot where I am in Westchester. Chuck talked me into it. He said, I got somebody for you to meet, brought me out, met the guy, said, hey, I want you to also meet, I think you should buy this. I'm in no place. There's no chance I can buy this. I was 2 years ago on the verge of bankruptcy. He's like, you might be surprised. Here, I'm going to introduce you to the SBA based, with the small bit out in Chester County. I'm going to Chester County Economic Council. I want you to meet some guys from there. Oh, I want you to meet so-and-so from Downtown National Bank. They're looking to finance growing small businesses. I want you to meet this guy. Next thing you know, I went from thinking I could barely find anything to buying my own, I own the building I'm in. I never thought that was going to be a possibility. And instantly, the door was like this revolving door of, hey, I'm so-and-so at the chamber. Are you interested in joining? Here's what we can do for you. Yeah. Do this event. Next thing you know, hey, I met you at the chamber event the other night. Can you do my daughter's wedding? Can you do this lunch and everything? Hey, we're raising money to build this theater in Westchester called Uptown. We'd like you to be involved and cater an event. And it's like those spokes, it's crazy. And, I did that in the beginning. It was like we built the name up. And then I realized this just keeps going and going. Every event I walk into, there's a handful. Oh, I know them from this event. I know them from this chamber. Oh, I know them from the business association. Everybody though is so passionate about their area and supporting the area. I think they say Chester County is the wealthiest county in the state. Financially, yes, but just the support. I've never seen a community rally around each other, help each other. The business community is unbelievable. It really is. And COVID really just, we were on our knees, like everybody. And we started launching these meals to, we called it Share a Meal. And it was born out of my daughter. We were sitting there maybe a week into COVID. And she's like, what about the kids that, we were eating dinner and there was leftovers, and she's like, what's going on with the kids that aren't in school right now and aren't getting lunch? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I know some of my friends get free lunch. This was at a young age. She knew this, knew enough to be able to figure out. I don't know how she figured it out, but she figured it out. And I said, you're right. And I reached right out to the principal and I said, what can we do? And this guy didn't have enough on his plate, trying to figure out how they were in a virtual school. And I'm like, hey, I get this great idea. I want to donate food to people. And he's like, yeah, it used to kind of above my pay grade. Let me see what we can figure out. But we did this. We launched this program. And the minute it hit, we put it out there. My mom calls me. She's like, this thing's been shared hundreds of times. And I start going, and it's every community organization jumped on, and the chambers were jumping on, and the churches, and everybody, I started this through Starkweather Home and School. And next thing you know, I've got every home and school association sharing this, and let's help out this other community member. And it really wasn't about trying to help me, but it did, because it gave us a purpose. It was able to keep an eye on our employees and able to, the big thing was we were able to feed people. And when people would pull up here and get these meals, and you could just see people would come up in tears, thank you. Having it was take 2 meals here, take extra. They would come up carloads with 4 or 5 moms in here, where there was one neighbor had a car and would drive them all up. And I was this community, you could just see, and people were doing it. People would order meals and say, we're not going to pick it up, just donate it. And it really just showed you the faith, humanity, that's what was probably the toughest thing the last year, because I feel people are starting to go back to be nasty a little bit. But, people were, it was as devastating as COVID was, it was a good time. You really saw the best in people. You really did. And we saw it here. People were just, I think of Gadaletto's and John over at Avalon and all these guys that I've become, I knew of, but through COVID, because we're all going through it, we built this community in the hospitality of talking to people you never really communicated before. It's oh, you're doing this? Yeah, you need me to order something for you for you're doing a meal for the food bank, or you're doing this, and people support. And it really is. It's a great community to live and to, run your business in. It really is. And I'm thrilled that we ended up here.
That's a beautiful story about donating food. I mean, that's awesome. I actually have chills right now just listening to you talk about that and like just helping families out when they really need it the most. But
Yeah.
John, I appreciate your time today, and I just wanted to give you kind of the floor to shout out your website, your Facebook, your Instagram, where people can get in contact with you if they need some catering services.
Sure. It's a very simple. Serock, Serock, catering.com. SerockCatering.com, Serock Catering on Instagram, Serock Catering on Facebook. I think they're working on a TikTok. I'm not, that's kind of above my pay grade. That's not where I'm good at. So, but yeah, Serock Catering, you know, we are primarily a wedding caterer, but we do, you know, large scale galas and life celebration events, you know, based on availability. So check us out. Our Instagram is pretty cool because you can kind of see, you know, we try and get as much footage at events. So it's kind of fun.
Absolutely. I just have to warn anyone who's listening. If you do check out their Instagram, be well aware that you will be starving after it because the food looks incredible. So,
yeah, that's the point. Eat with your eyes.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I appreciate the time for you, and I'm sure I'll see you at networking events down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.